for staying with us. A former member of the House of Representatives and the former Speaker of the Kwara State House of Assembly, Professor Ali Ahmed, has asked that the Senate President Ahmed Lawan to override President Muhammad Buhari's decision on some constitutional amendment bills. The Kwara former Speaker wrote an open letter addressed to the Senate President, Senator Ahmed Lawan. The law professor says that President Buhari specifically rejected some bills that will strengthen the National Assembly as an institution, noting that the legislative arm of government must stand against the president in the interest of the institution. The Honorable Ali Ahmed joins me live on the program in Abuja. Thank you so much, Professor, for joining us tonight on the program. You're worried, out of the 35 bills passed from the constitutional amendment exercise conducted by the parliament, and of course the whole gamut of the state assemblies and all of that, and after all, 35 bills which are supposed to be alterations to the constitution were passed to the president. 16 of them were assented to by President Buhari, 19 were not. You have a concern about this. What's your concern and worry about this situation?
Yes, thank you, Sheum. When you have the nation coalesce on 35 bills out of hundreds. I mean, the National Assembly considered hundreds of bills in the Senate, in the House of Representatives, and they reached consensus on about 90, 100, and they passed it to state assemblies. And from these funnies, only 35 were approved by National Assembly, Senate, and House of Reps, and the required number of states, 35. And the president graciously signed 16 and vetoed 19. Now, the tenor of my letter is not to ask the Senate to override the president's veto on the 19 major constitutional amendment bill that he has vetoed, but to select, if the 19 would be too much, to select about 7 or 8 that have legislative fervor, that has issues that Nigerians is having problem with. Issue of transparency, accountability. So these bills, out of this 19 that the president rejected, I was begging distinguished Senator Lawan and his colleagues to please, for the sake of Nigeria's issue about transparency, our government is too opaque, to please look critically at this and apply Section 58 of the Constitution. I'm not saying he should go against the president, no. I'm only saying he should stand by the Constitution and ensure that we have a transparent government. Enough of this talk of politics. We talk politics. We've been talking about politics for the past 1.5 years. Electoral bill. Now we've had election, which we should focus on 2027 and focus on governance. We're still debating politics. We should. So this letter is about governance. Politics is not for the fun of it. Politics is not done for mere politics. The only way we can reach up to governance is to engage into politics. So that's the reason this is coming up.
So in layman terms, if president does not assent or sign a bill to law, and the National Assembly does not have any opposition to the president's stance on those laws, for example, the 19 bills that the president refused to sign is termed a veto. That means I'm not going to sign these bills. So, but the National Assembly have the right to, let's put it in layman terms, to say, if you are not signing it, but we'll pass it into law anyways. That is the situation, isn't it? Because you gave a historical, an antecedent of in the time of Senator Pius Ayim when he was Senate President, how what they did to override the then president on some of the bills that he vetoed. That is what you meant, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. Exactly. That was the gravamen of my letter, that section 58.5 should just be applied, where we copied this democracy from, this constitution. In the US, when the American Constitution was being debated, and they think, look, they didn't want to give overly power to the legislative house like the UK did. So Madison said, look, ambition must be made to counteract ambition. Give the legislature some power, counteract it with the power of the executive, give the judiciary some power, counteract it, so that no arm will be too powerful. Now in Nigeria, the executive is too powerful. They lord it over the judiciary, they love it over the legislature. Now we're begging that distinguished Senator Lawan and his colleagues should apply section 58.5. We don't have any other language to say that override the president. It looks like confrontation, but it's not. It's part of democracy. That, look, once you can garner 2/3 of members of the Senate and the House, then these important bills, I'm sure we'll go by this bill one by one, these important bills will now pass.
All right. So can you identify to us?
And we said, look, this is not the first time.
Yeah, this is not the first time we have seen that happen. There was a stern position of the National
Assembly. It was
Assembly.
done even during President
Obasanjo's period. Yeah.
Obasanjo, yes, Obasanjo vowed that some bills would never become law as long as he was president. But the Senate of that period in 2000 overrode him. Yeah, so the current legislators are enjoying it. Otherwise, Senate president will not be the third in order of precedence. House of Reps will not be fourth in order of precedence. It is their predecessors that stood against the president, stood with the legislative powers and said, no, after the president, after the vice president, it should be the Senate president. Want it.
Prof, let me jump in quickly. Let me jump in quickly. And part of the 16 bills that the president signed is now mandatory, is now constitutional, that a president-elect and a governor-elect is constitutional now, that they must transmit to the National Assembly or the House of Assembly, as the case may be, within 2 months, 60 days of assumption of office, they are nominees for ministerial and commissioner. This is one of the bills that have been signed into law, which, of course, for anybody who remembered, in the case of President Buhari in 2015, it took about over 6 months before the president could transmit the names of minister nominees to the National Assembly. But if you are to highlight the major bills you think that the president should have signed and he refused to sign, which of them would you pick?
I would pick bill number 10.
Okay.
Bill number 10, if the Senate and the House will even jettison the whole 19 and just pick bill number 10, Nigerians will be very happy. Because this bill number 10 seeks to enforce legislative summons. As I told you, ambition of politicians and these arms must be made to counteract each other. So when an arm of government, say the legislature, the executive, and I gave examples of some of the members of the executive, they were accused of hiring private jets with 10 billion naira. Now the legislative, the House of Reps of that period, invited this minister. Come and tell us how and why did you spend 10 billion just renting aircraft? Then she rushed to court, the court issues an order till today. But if this bill number 10 is passed by Senator Lawan and the House of Reps, if this bill is passed, it will make it enforceable. Legislative summons will be made enforceable, and no court in the land, once a summons is issued against a minister or a commissioner, no court in the land will pretend to issue an order, interim or whatever, and stop that legislative summons. So if they can, in the beginning, even as the Constitution says today, no court should issue an order stopping legislative summons. It's never done anywhere in the world. When Congress invites, in fact, you will be begging Congress to invite you. Take the case of Google. When Congress was looking into the affairs of Facebook and that, because the owners of company were afraid that, look, if we didn't go to Congress and they pass an overarching law, it will affect us and we'll lose that. So they quickly rush, even before Congress called them. In Nigeria, no. You call them, they rush to court, you call them. And I gave an example, this regime. House of Reps called this minister 4 times, and 4 times she didn't even bother to even go to court. So maybe in the next dispensation, when you call another minister, they can even sue the National Assembly that is there. Because we're seeing degradation of the Constitution successively. During Jonathan, they went to court to stop the legislature. During this regime, they didn't even bother to go to court. They just said, look, to hell with you guys. In the next dispensation, maybe the National Assembly dare to invite a minister. They'll go to court and say that you are alleging, so that's what, but if this bill number 10 is passed,
Prof, there are a few people,
how everybody will sit tight and
there are a few people who are not very happy because about 55 or so were those bills before they were streamlined to 35. Part of those bills that a lot of Nigerians thought will sail was the establishment of state police, the establishment of state judicial council, the streamlining of the procedure for removing presiding officers and institutionalizing legislative bureaucracy in the Constitution. But these didn't see the light of day. But related to the bill which you said that the National Assembly should look at overriding the veto of the president on, is also that of the State of the Nation address, which is one of the bills that wasn't passed, that wasn't assented to by the president. That is also looking more like the bill number 10 that you were talking about. I mean, what importance will this kind of bill be to our democracy?
Yes, it's very important. You see, I didn't even touch the local government bill because, you see, the distribution of constitutional power stands on 2 distinct levels. One is horizontal and one is vertical. The most difficult one is the horizontal one. That's why I picked it, the horizontal, because they are all equal. The legislature, executive, and judiciary, they are all equal. The singular power of governance is divided into 3 co-equal partners. But you see, the local government is even easier because that one is vertical. Nobody doubts the fact that the federal government is at top, is the most powerful. Then followed by the state, followed by the local government. Nobody doubts it. Now we want to empower local government, but sadly, who are the people that voted against the local government? Not the National Assembly, but the state assemblies, because they didn't want to share power with the local government. So you see, we just have to balance powers, but leaving that as we should. Now talking about State of the Nation's address, the only interface that the executive has to interact with the people of Nigeria is during budget presentation, one occasion in 365 days. And you just drop the budget, read your speech, and get out. Now the nation says, look, we should have more interaction with our elected president and governor. Come once a year, come and tell us, summarize to us the last 365 days. What have you done? Lo and behold, the executive vetoed it. And this is one bill also that Nigerians would be happy. Their governors will go to their state assembly every year and say, okay, this is where I have that, because this power is not there. That is why last time the Niger State State Assembly courageously summoned the governor of Niger State. That is why the House of Reps, always courageous as ever, summoned Mr. President when they would not address the people about the security situation. That time everybody was just helpless. So they wanted the president to come and address the nation. They called him, he agreed, but then so with this bill, the president will be obliged to go to the National Assembly every year, just as everywhere.
All right.
In the US, it's there. In UK, the Prime Minister goes there every week and speak to people.
Yeah. Professor Ali Ahmed, thank you so much for the initiative of writing the open letter, which of course has also brought up a lot of conversation on what President Buhari did and did not do. There are those who argue that Buhari, since 1999, has perhaps been the only president that signed the most bill in a two-time being in office as a president. But then there is this crucial bill several billions of naira spent in this process. So why would this bill be thrashed in the can and forgotten forever? It's important that you have brought this up. Thank you so much indeed. And we are hoping that your former colleagues will be able to attend to it. Senator Ahmed Lawan is one of the most experienced lawmakers, and I'm hoping that they will listen to your clamor. Thank you so much. Professor Ali Ahmed, a former Speaker of the Kwara State House of Assembly, a former member of the House of Representatives, and a professor of law. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight. Well, that's how far we can go on the program tonight. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. I'm sure I'll see you tomorrow at 7 p.m. God bless Nigeria.